Hello and welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. My name is Jesse. This is Joe. Let us know you can see us and hear us, and we'll get started with the show. Make sure everything is kosher here for us in the chat. Loud and clear. Thank you, Gosshawk. I hope you guys are having a happy wolf moon. We have chosen a topic that is certainly apt for the evening. That full moon is absolutely gorgeous. I think with that polar vortex sweeping through the region, it kind of took every bit of the clouds out of here. We were actually leaving the woods last night under that moonlight, and it was absolutely gorgeous. We will kind of get into some of that in a little bit. But we were out in a new area last night, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. But that moon is fantastic, but it is a full wolf moon. I want to welcome you all to Hellbent Holler Live. This is our weekly show we do every Monday night. It's sort of a free form hangout with our Hellbenders. That is all of our friends and our family that watches the show, participates in it. And some of them have been with us since the beginning of all of this. So
OGs, man.
The OGs, OGHBs. But it is really nice to have you here. If you've never been here, you'll catch up. There's some inside jokes, but you'll catch up to it. But it's kind of free form. It's fun. And we kind of talk about, we kind of go off the rails with it sometimes, but that's okay. That's part of the fun. So, yeah, we were talking last night. We were talking about the one inside joke we've got is Cocaine Dogman. And we were talking about the Cocaine Dogman merch that we have in the store. And we actually had Jonathan Dodd do that illustration for us. But as soon as we put that out, I want to ask you, Joe, do you know who was the first person to order the Cocaine Dogman starter pack, which was a large coffee mug and a t-shirt? Do you know who the first person to order the Cocaine Dogman starter pack was?
I'm going to guess Nutslap.
It was Nutslap. Very good. Yes.
I don't even know if Nutslap's in here tonight, but
he posted on the members Discord a photo of himself with the shirt and the mug. And the mug was full of a white substance.
He's probably in the cartel or something like that. You know what I'm saying? He's probably sitting around like the cartel headquarters right now watching the show.
He's like calling shots and stuff, and they're like
having the competition, like, you know.
They're going, Senor Nutslap. We really need you to make a decision on this. And he goes, no, not during my Hellbent Holler.
I'm watching my show.
I'm watching my stories. Oh,
happy birthday, Hope Rising.
Happy birthday, Hope.
Born on the wolf moon. It's a house cares thing. Thank you, Okie. We appreciate it. Curtis Whitaker. What Curtis?
He's got a lot of confidence.
Got a lot of confidence in us. Show just started. Show could be crappy. No refunds, Curtis. Thank you.
We got Dooster in the house today as well. Nice to see you, Dooster. But yeah, so as you saw by my Nosferatu rip of a thumbnail, which I was particularly proud of, we want to talk a little bit about Dogman tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We were, and it's weird that this happened because we didn't even realize at first that it was a wolf moon when we first started talking about this. But we were like going, And Jesse and I were both kind of like in agreement that for a while we were getting Dogman reports hot and heavy. I mean, we were getting them all the time, and they were credible, and they were close by. They were in and around the region that we usually operate in. And then it just went kind of quiet on that end. We still got a lot of Bigfoot. We still got a lot of general weirdness, but not a lot of like Dogman stuff. And then we were talking the other day. I can't remember which one of us said it first, but we were just like, I just feel that like Dogman's like right around the corner again. Like it's getting ready to start back up. And and we were both just in agreement going, yeah, I feel the exact same way, that it just seems like that had just kind of like faded away from like what we do, but it feels like it's getting ready to start back up. And we were like, let's talk about it on the Monday night show. Maybe that's the catalyst we need to kind of get Dogman stuff kind of running again. There were some Dogman reports from the Grove area that we were into, or what at least appeared to be a Dogman. Some of the Sasquatch reports that we took from the Grove, mostly just detailed large, dark, hairy, aggressive figures, but nobody really could describe a Bigfoot. That was just the description. And we're going,
And then we captured that audio that, to me, it sounds like some sort of halfway zone between something very canid, bestial, and human in a way. So that kind of muddied the waters as well about what we were actually dealing with out there, because we hadn't had too many straight on descriptions of exactly this is what we had seen, what we've experienced there, those people.
So we just kind of wanted to talk about some Dogman stuff tonight and see if we can maybe entice the universe to kind of,
dare say, conjure a Dogman.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't want to conjure activity that could possibly be dangerous to other people. Right. But I've got a feeling the activity's still going on out there. We just haven't heard about it. And I think that maybe this will kind of like spurn some.
Of course, this does make you think, what do we always say? That in order for you to have a report to come to you, there's a couple of elements that need to be present for a report to be made. A creature to be seen, and a witness to see the creature.
And then some mechanism to report it to the general public.
With this polar vortex and everything, this crazy weather, you have much, much fewer people going out into the woods or going into these more remote areas. All of these roads are icing up, so they're not going into these remote roads. Maybe that is decreasing the sightings that we've gotten.
Our area took such a big hit, and they've had a hard enough time getting the main roads back up and running, that, I know a lot of the areas that we have traditionally gone to are still kind of inaccessible unless you go in on foot. And we usually travel in on foot, but I'm talking miles and miles and miles. Like it literally takes you a day on foot to get there now in some cases. So we're kind of wondering if the activity's going on out there, but it's just not getting reported right now because there are not as many people out into some of these remote areas. So this is kind of our little like clarion call out into the universe to see if we get some good Dogman stuff back that we can then look into then. Everybody always loves the Dogman stuff. Tammy Hardcastle even said Dogman shirt, cocaine Dogman shirt or hoodie would be great. We do have a shirt on our website. Let me just shill for ourselves for a second. Shameless self-promotion.
I put a link to the website up, but I'll put another one.
I put one up just now.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Look at you.
Here's your next marketing thing. Bizarre Noir for some Holler Point Bang Bangs. Holler Points. Is there an ammunition company out there somewhere that we can get? Jesse's writing it down. Thank you for that, both the idea and the super chat. Thank you so much.
Good idea. I'm gonna retire as the marketing exec for this company.
I'm telling you, man. So that's a good idea. Holler Points.
I want to say real quick, welcome Greg McDonald as a member of.
Greg was a member once before, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and then.
Welcome
back, I think.
So. Nutslap is here. He's giving his praises for his Cocaine Dogman shirt. It's a killer buy.
Invest now. Price only goes up. All right. So let's see what else we've got through here.
Now we didn't talk in public.
We didn't.
Only behind closed doors. We didn't talk publicly about the video that we released
Yeah,
yet.
we just did a video release. So
we can get into that at some point, or we can shift now.
We're going to be all over the damn place as usual. So
shift around.
We'll bounce from place to place,
Let's
topic
shift
to
around.
topic.
Yeah, so we released a video on Friday, and it was the more narrative portion of the Laurel Creek incident, which is a series that we are putting out right now on a very strange encounter that was told to us via email by a woman who went out horseback riding in this particular area with her husband, and they had a very, very strange encounter with what she describes as a Sasquatch. And
it was a pretty, in this case,
a dead-on sighting.
And the subsequent follow-up conversations, Sasquatch. I mean, there ain't no mistake in it from what she saw. Pretty stereotypical Sasquatch. The encounter was not stereotypical, but the physical description, pretty much what you'd expect, right?
Yes. So, she also said that the creature in question made a very strange noise, that it had a deep buzzing, rumbling sound that was somewhere in between a rattlesnake and the buzzing of a bee. And that it seemed like it had some sort of effect on the horses, that it caused the horses to go catatonic. Now, I know a lot of you have experience with horses. Joe and I have no experience with horses. I'm scared of horses. But I have several of you guys have reached out to us and talked to us about this, that you have experience with horses. Normally, horses are flight animals, apparently, that when something like this happens, they GTFO.
Yeah.
So,
well, a lot of people also reached out to us going, because there's always been this idea that Sasquatch will come in and braid the horsemen, you know what I'm saying, and braid their tails and all of that. And like we talked about on the live stream after the video premiere, you hear parallels with that, with fairy lore, with European witches. There's several different types of supernatural entities that kind of mane and tail braiding is attributed to. And it's especially with fairy folklore in the West. And then it kind of, there's always a lot of like cross contamination between fae folklore and then like witch lore through there.
Yeah.
So that's not just Sasquatch. And one of the ideas is that Sasquatch would have the ability to kind of transfix or beguile horses to allow them to get up close to do this. And that may or may not be true. I don't know. But in none of the folklore that I know of is a sound like she described really brought up.
Yes.
Because quite honestly, the way that she described the sound, it's anything but relaxing. I mean, generally when you hear stories of the supernatural basically lulling somebody into a trance, there's usually some sort of like musical element, something melodic, something pleasing to hear that basically kind of just dulls your senses and just you're spellbound at that point.
Yeah.
This seemed very cacophonous. It seemed very abrasive. It seemed very, the sound that she described was nothing relaxing at all. It seems like it would be next to impossible to, and even talking about their behavior. How are they're whispering to each other? And even she was just like, I'm not sure why we were whispering.
And it was almost like it was uncharacteristic or out of place for them to even be whispering.
There's a lot to unpack in this. And quite honestly, I'm having a hard time unpacking it.
We have had a lot of difficulty doing it. We had a lot of difficulty figuring out how to present this to you, our audience, and kind of get it all out there so that we can move forward with this investigation, but so that you guys have kind of the facts of the event, of the initial event that spurred this whole thing on. How do we present that to you guys so you have those, and so now you have context for what we're going into when we go into this area to do these investigations
going forward? Exactly. Yeah. And it's dense to go through, and it's weird because some people are going, I don't understand this encounter, and I'm going, join the club. We don't understand it either. We're just trying to present it as best we can. And then we're in here now trying to figure it out to maybe see if we hear or experience something similar to it. We're running backup cameras and recorders because I think these people experienced some sort of time dilation. Something happened because they both had, now it wasn't wildly dissimilar, One thought it just took a couple seconds. The other one thought like 2-3 minutes, something like that, you know.
But there's a discrepancy in the amount of time that passed during
because they're
this
both
encounter.
very certain about their estimations on the time. And so we're running some stuff in case we experience some time dilation. Maybe we'll catch it on camera still. We'll see. We're also expecting anytime you go into an area with like such, because this is like, you got like strangeness, you got high strangeness, and then you got really freaking high strangeness. And that's what I would kind of consider this. You know, you go in expecting equipment malfunction. So we're kind of going in with a lot of redundancy in there.
Yeah.
Real quick, our buddy Arcane Discoveries, how are you?
Welcome back, my friend.
Have not seen you for a while. Hello, old friends. Time to pick the subject back up now. Hunting season is over. We had some weird things during hunting season. Interesting. Some weird knocks, howls, metal crashing, 10 miles in the woods. Glad to be back. Thank you for that. And reach out and let us know what all you experienced, man, especially that metal crashing sound that everybody's always so interested in.
And this kind of brought me to think about something here. Arcane Discovery's comment here kind of made me think about this. I said earlier, you know, maybe we're not getting these reports because it's been so cold lately. You know, everybody's experiencing these very, very cold temperatures. So there's not enough people maybe to be out there to have these experiences. But you know, what we do notice is right after hunting season, we get an uptick in reports from people who are hunters.
Always get them from hunters. Yeah. Mostly bow hunters.
Yeah.
So, and that there's a direct parallel between that and the land between the lakes, because a lot of the stories that involve hunters in the land between the lakes with them running into Dogman, Sasquatch, mostly Dogman, it's generally bow hunters. Now, generally those stories don't end very well for the hunter involved. Now, in the Grove, which was the area local to us where a lot of bow hunters have had encounters. And again, I always go, if we hear 4 of them, that's the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
Okay. That means that there's probably a lot more, because not all the stories are making their way to us. Some people don't know about us to report them to us, even though we're in the same area. You know, some people are not into the Dogman thing on YouTube. Other people.
It is kind of a very precise niche.
You got to kind of look for us to find us there,
and also,
you know?
I think there's a new Dogman movie out that is a animated body of a man, head of a dog superhero kids movie that's coming out. It's based on a series of books.
Oh, the Dogman kids books. Okay.
So that might become what you see mostly when you type in Dogman from now on.
So I always figure if we've got 4 of them, that's a lot. That's a lot. That is a whole lot. I'm still shocked at how many we got. But again, bow hunters being chased out of the woods by something aggressive. And it's, you know, it seems to be a pattern. And I'm wondering if now that hunting season's kind of ramping up, are we going to hear from a fresh batch of people?
Yeah.
So, as a matter of fact, we should actually do a video entitled Dogman in South Carolina, just to put that out there so people will find that if they're Googling that, or werewolves in South Carolina or something like that.
Well, there are reports. I can gather those up and we can kind of put that out there, and maybe maybe somebody will answer the call, you know.
But a cryptid response says, get the ammunition manufacturing going. He will personally bless every box. The, you know, cryptid response is our religious consultant. So he will bless the boxes there. That'd be actually pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
I wonder if we could find I don't know. I mean, they made zombie ammunition at the height of the zombie craze, you know, so.
I don't think the Dogman craze and the Bigfoot craze is quite where the zombie craze was. But
well, what I'm saying is that I'm sure there's somebody out there that would not be offended by the idea.
You know? Oki has a good point here. We were actually talking, we ran into somebody this weekend who watches the channel.
Matter of fact, let me share his channel
and we ran into him, talked to him and his wife for a while. His name is Jason, his wife's name is Amy, and they were so nice. It was really cool to run into them. But this is something that kind of came up when we were talking to them. Oki made a comment here. No hunter wants ambulance Bigfoot chasers stomping on their hunting area. This is something that we discussed with Jason and Amy this weekend when we ran into them at the store, right?
Yeah, because
what happened down in Newberry County in South Carolina
nationwide.
That went nationwide. It caught like wildfire, and the woods of Newberry County were flooded with Bigfoot investigators, and that totally messed up everybody's hunt for this year. So now You know, I think pretty much amongst everybody down there, the word is mum on everything have to do with Bigfoot, that you do not report if you see anything strange, because all that's going to happen is these crazy people who are banging on trees and screaming into the night are going to come and invade your area where you're supposed to be hunting.
That's why we don't share a lot of these locations. We don't, I know a lot of people get upset, you know, we're hiding the truth, you know.
Mama Truth and the Truth Time Band.
Yes, and nobody's hiding the truth, but at the same token, even if it's public land, a lot of times the witnesses that reach out to us, that's somewhere that they go to. They camp, they hunt, they do whatever. And unfortunately, just like the case that Jesse mentioned, it's not impossible. It's not outside the realm of possibility that it goes viral. And then all of a sudden you just have tons of people there. You have people trespassing on the private property. We go into areas that are wildlife management areas, and guess what? We try to be as respectful
and low impact as humanly
to the hunters as possible there. Okay, everybody's got to get along out in those woods. We generally don't go to wildlife management areas during the daytime during hunting season, even if it's kind of remote, because we don't. We don't want to get shot, but be above and even beyond
that would be number one.
That would be number one. But we want to be, you know, good, respectful neighbors to this stuff. So,
absolutely.
So if we do that, we'll make sure that we mention that if anybody shares anything with us that, you know, we won't make sure that their favorite hunting spot all of a sudden is just publicly available for everyone.
And that was definitely what happened down in Newberry County. Is it just got completely overrun. And, you know, I've heard some murmurs about everybody is pissed about that happening, because it completely ruined the hunt for so many people this year, that all of these people just came from all over to investigate this. When this happened, people were asking us, are you guys going to go and check it out? Absolutely not.
We thought about it, but I just shared
absolutely
Jason's
not.
YouTube channel. He's a local boy to us. He does an outdoors channel, and so now we've got somebody else who's outdoors quite a bit with their ear to the ground for us. And if they hear anything or they personally experience anything, you know, we'll have a pipeline to that information. So I just shared that link. If you get a chance, maybe go over and check him out. He's a pure outdoors hiking channel, which is cool. A lot of y'all are into that.
Yep.
And you know, he's a local boy, he's a South Carolina boy. So if you get a chance, go over and give him a subscribe and give him a subscribe. I guess that's not pretty bad English there.
Shoot the man a sub.
Shoot the man a sub and tell him that Hellbent Holler sent you. But anyway, so we've got this weird Sasquatch investigation that we're currently embroiled on. We don't know how it's going to proceed at this point, and that will kind of become apparent to you as time goes on.
Yeah, we do have several more videos coming up in this series. Obviously, I think I have a comment. If you want to go to the starred comments, somebody said something about the cliffhanger, the way I ended.
Everybody and their mother, our buddy Hawk says it. Jesse teased us with that video. And
when I came on to the members after show directly after the premiere on Friday, first thing I did was, how mad are you guys?
Dragon tears left us hanging. And here's the
oh, sorry. I absolutely had to. I could not help myself. And you guys loved it. You loved every minute of it. I am okay. I saw some comments about somebody was like, are you okay? You have to let us know, are you alive? And one lady's like, guys, she edited the video. She did the voiceover. She put the video out. She's fine, you know.
We need to, and this is kind of said in jest, but also not in jest. We need to set up a mechanism. Okay, all right, hold on to your hat. We need to set up a mechanism in case anything ever happens to us and the equipment is recovered.
Yeah.
Where that footage goes to and how it's handled.
Yeah.
Up to that point. Maybe somebody trustworthy that we know that could take care of, that has a public presence
Our dead man switch.
Yeah, kind of. You know what I'm saying? So kind of. But if something was to happen, have instructions going, please make sure the SD cards get to so-and-so.
And we need somebody to take care of the cats.
Yeah, we'll take drawings for that. But
who will be burdened with such a task?
But so Jesse was doing this, but and the same token, this investigation gets a little weird. It gets a little grim. We still enjoy this stuff, and we want to have fun with it as much as possible to kind of lighten the mood with it a little bit. And Jesse just did a good old-fashioned cliffhanger with that. I mean, obviously, we're here talking to you right now.
Yeah.
It does get very sketchy and dicey in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely
ramps up from here.
we definitely did a tactical withdrawal from one area.
Yeah.
Because we were getting ringed by something that you'll see that we were able to get really good audio from. But yeah, it's just it's.
I'm glad that you decided. So, you know, to kind of get back to what we're doing with this is, you know, when I was affected, and I'm not going to jump to conclusions. That is jumping to conclusions. Let's stop there. I got disoriented. I overheated. I got kind of sick. I felt very ill. We've started with Joe wearing a chest cam now. Now Joe is going to wear an action cam on all of our investigations.
Joe's got to get into action cam first. Upgrade
but
the action cam, baby.
We've been doing that for the past couple of investigations. We started doing that initially, and then we stopped doing that. But now we're back to doing that because he's running a camera in his hands, and you can see that in the video from the cam on his chest. But we're running a chest cam during the entire investigation, nonstop, just in case. We want to make sure that we capture this evidence. Now, another thing that we're doing is Joe has the main cam in his hand now, which is normal, which is, you know, normally what he does. Joe experimented in this area during one part of the investigation with a back-facing cam. People mention this over and over and over again, and we always say, well, we've tried it. It's very difficult for what we do because initially this is something that was done by Scott Carpenter all the time, and he did it with very good results. Scott Carpenter, this was a common tactic that he used in his investigations, in his research, and it bore fruit actually. But Scott Carpenter was also hiking on pretty flat, open trails in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. It was a lot easier to do it, to have a back-facing camera with that environment as compared to what we tend to do, which is sometimes crawling under logs, going through thick brush. So, but we mounted one to Joe's backpack and we stuck it on there and we did some back-facing footage. Now we're going to release that back-facing footage for member review. It's going to be some raw footage, and you guys, our members, can take a look at that.
See if you pick anything
and see if you pick anything up on it. And you're also going to see how crazy it looks when we do back-facing cams.
The reason why we did it this time is because we're on an old Forest Service road that's been permanently barricaded off, and the forest has not yet taken it completely over yet. So it's pretty flat, it's pretty wide, it's pretty open. So that's where these things kind of work at. So I used it a little bit, but unfortunately we're not on it that long. And then we're into the woods, branches are hitting it. We're going through mountain laurels. We're going through, you know, pine thickets. We're going through everything like that. So, but in certain areas, that camera will be at least a little functional. So we'll try a little bit on that, at least in this area when we're in that particular spot. But not all of the footage is as clear as others, because a lot of times we're in pretty thick forested areas with no path. We're following footprints, game trail, just busting through the trees, whatever at that point. A couple things here real quick. Our buddy Daryl Denton had a great comment. Gugwe has been known to make unusual sounds. I had my horse mane braided when they attacked my farm in 2020.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. So Bruce Davis, watched a few videos. Welcome to the channel, Bruce.
Welcome to the channel, Bruce.
Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Monday Nights. Our buddy Michael. Hold on a second. What's up, Michael? My Texas Longhorns lost, but this makes feel good helping Joe get a new chest cam. Thanks, Jesse and Joe.
Thank you, Mom.
We are going through a massive
camera overhaul
because we're always overhauling stuff. It's never going to end.
Wait till you guys see.
We are hitting our freaking stride right now.
Wait till you guys see some stuff. So not only are we doing the chest cam, we're going to be peppering in some back cam stuff when the environment allows. Plus, always, of course, main cam with the shotgun. We're going to get that audio. We're going to be running multiple audio systems. Not only that, Jesse's got a cam now.
Jessie
has her own camera. That is all her own. And my camera is going to be my camera that I can do my own little bits with and that I can do my own filming with. So we are going to have the most camera-laden Bigfooting Dogman paranormal channel out there.
We're looking at right now.
So if we do miss something, if something happens and we miss it,
it could be for lack of trying.
Throw us off a bridge at that point.
We're looking at some low light action cam options, some of the stuff that just hit the market's really, really, really impressive with low light. And so, yeah, we're looking at trying to get set up on some of this stuff to be able to run. Because again, redundancy is important. Everybody always knows, the things happen when your batteries go dead or when you're changing batteries or doing anything like that. That's when it's almost like it's just waiting for that opportunity to launch some weirdness at you. So we want to try to be prepared for it here. As usual, we come in with a topic and then just such good comments come up into the chat that we kind of go all over the place. Joe and Jesse, I believe it is a government experiment that got away or supernatural deal. I hear or read so many stories. I think for pretty much every aspect of the paranormal, and I'm going to lump everything into the paranormal. UFOs, maybe not. Yeah, I'll even throw supernatural, like spiritual, like ghost type stuff in there.
Yeah.
Bigfoot, Dogman, all that. I think there's multiple things going on that all gets lumped under a single umbrella. And it's not outside the realm of possibility that both options could be viable, that there could be a supernatural element or an interdimensional creature or some sort of crypto-terrestrial that originates from Earth, but it has the ability to kind of like come in and out of our reality and stay kind of hidden outside of where we can't always sense it or see it. And that the government may have, just like it's rumored with UFOs and UAPs, the government, it's rumored, got their hands on some of those and then tried to replicate it for their own ends. That possibility doesn't just begin and end with UFOs. It also exists for other types of anomalous phenomena. So there could very well be Dogman, Sasquatch, and then there could very well be government efforts to kind of recreate those entities for their own purposes. And there could be controlled experimentation going on out there. There could be experimentation that got away. There could be, pretty much at this point, you can't rule any possibility out.
Absolutely not.
And if just because one is true over here in this place does not preclude one of the other options from being real somewhere else. There very well could be, as hard as I find it to believe, very small clustered of a breeding population of something that's just here and it's terrestrial and it's got some gifts and abilities that we have a hard time overcoming to prove that these creatures exist. There could very well be things coming from somewhere else, another dimension, another reality or whatnot, that share a passing physical resemblance to some of these things. If you look at the physical descriptions of a lot of Sasquatch, it looked like a man, it looked like an ape, it looked like a monster, it looked like this, it was very gentle, it was very aggressive. Some of those could be variations of a single species. Some of these could be different entities altogether that just have a passing resemblance to one another. So I think that all of the above is very possible at this point. Sploot, our good friend Sploot, it's been a bit, but bow hunters may be seeing Dogman more, as the bow may not be as damaging to them as a gun would be. They could also be a signal for Dogman to step in for Fear Fest and an easy meal. Very possibly so. We talked a couple shows ago that if you look at a lot of the Native American traditions of Sasquatch, they were terrors. They would come into the villages. They would come into the places where, the inhabited areas, and they would take children and they would take their game and they would take women sometimes, ambush hunting parties. People wouldn't come back. They were very, very, very aggressive. They were the cannibal giants of a lot of Native American traditions. Well, now we don't necessarily see that anymore. If predation goes on, it's very opportunistic. There's a lot of I can get away with this right now, so I'll do it. Other times I need to keep quiet. And it seems like that changed when Europeans got on the scene. And part of that could possibly be that these things are pretty much impervious to weaponry that took place before a firearm came along. So maybe a bow and arrow is not necessarily lethal to them, but under the right circumstances, firearms could do damage. So that might be the case. One of the bow hunters in the Grove, at least, was armed with a sidearm. And he talked about how he didn't even think to draw it because something told him that was not going to be any use whatsoever. And I'm wondering, is that just because of the physical appearance of this thing, or was that thought kind of planted in your head to keep you from going for that firearm because that was the last thing it wanted? Was you going for that firearm? Because that might actually be able to hurt it. So
a false lead.
False lead, yes. So
I've got some stuff marked on there if you want
Buddy
to
Hawk,
start.
how do you guys feel about the GoPro 360?
I hate how they look.
We don't, the footage is so
disorienting.
Like, yeah, it's the Insta 360? Is that
I think it.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's disorienting, and it would lead up to too much misinterpretation of foliage.
Yeah.
Pareidolia. It would not be. They're so interesting, but here's the deal: there's new models coming out like this year that might actually solve.
I know that DJI. I was just reading an article to Joe earlier about DJI possibly getting into the 360 cam, game, which would be cool. I would like if the technology would advance a little bit before we got invested in purchasing one of those. Because right now it's in its infancy. It's great for action shots like snowboarding,
with
surfing,
a selfie stick, and you're doing that. It's great.
But I think it's disorienting, and everything gets distorted as well.
Action cams, like the standard square little body action cams, like I've got an old generation model over here that I'm looking at that's acting up that we're going to replace. Some of them have gotten next level, and some of them are really what you always struggle with. What we struggle with, at least, is that blue hour, dawn and dusk. It's not quite bright enough for a standard camera, but it's disorienting to go to night vision so soon at that point. But guess what? That's when a lot of stuff really seems to happen, is when those liminal times, you're crossing over from night into day, or day into night. Those liminal times of the day are so difficult to film with. Well, now there's a whole generation of action cameras coming out that are specifically designed to film in those conditions. And I'm going, that's going to fill an empty spot in our loadout right now.
Yeah.
And because we have never been happy with the footage we've been able to capture during dawn or dusk. And so that's our next goal to be able to fill that in at this point. Professor Geek, tech isn't cheap. I'm contributing to the cause. You're the Mulder and the Scully of wilderness investigations.
Sweet.
I will take that. Thank you so kindly.
So am I Mulder or am I Scully? Can I be horny alien man?
Horny alien man. Our buddy LW Marshall for camera overhaul. Thank you, buddy. Our buddy LW Marshall, we were just on his podcast, a month ago? Has it been that long? Paranormal Palaver?
It's all a blur. You know that December, January are quite a blur. But we were on a show recently, Paranormal Palaver, and we were discussing the human element out when you do this kind of research. We didn't talk a lot about Dogman or Bigfoot. We talked about the very bizarre human element that you encounter when you do this kind of work. And over the years, we've really encountered a lot, from backwoods cults to human trafficking, and we get into some dark stuff because his podcast is not really regulated by the powers that be, like a lot of stuff that we do is. So we really kind of get in depth on some crazy topics. If you want to check that out. Did you put the link on there?
I did. I just threw a link to his podcast on there. So
God, you're killing it today.
Alan Howe, pretty soon Joe's going to need an exoskeleton suit. I invariably, whenever Jesse releases a video, there will be a section where I'm trying to go under some sort of barrier, usually a down tree, and I grunt. And people are always like, listen to that poor out of shape guy. And I'm going, guys, I've got like...
You're 6'3", 6'4",
and I have stuff strapped to me everywhere.
And I'm 6'2", and
full-size
I'm
camera.
5'2". I'm not 6'2".
And just man. Eventually, I'm going to need. Hopefully they get one coming out soon, because that will be what we need. So, but thank you for that, Alan. The Grand Inquisitor. Y'all should be looking into setting up a bump helmet. You could get a cheap airsoft one and mount cameras all over it. We've actually looked at doing something similar with that. When we up our action cam game, it won't work in some areas, because when I get out, I'm usually covered in branches, leaves, everything like that. We do a lot of squeezing through the foliage, but in certain areas, I've kind of got that in mind on some stuff we're going to do for a helmet setup.
Yeah. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. I'm adding stuff to our list.
I'm just going through here.
Go ahead.
Mr. Booberry, what about a back-facing thermal at night? I've thought about that. We've got to get, most thermals are monoculars for right now. But you are starting to see some smaller ones that are actually designed for a helmet mount, much like we were just talking about. As the price in those come down, again, everything, we've got to be strategic with everything. I mean, a lot of you guys generously help the cause. We work our own jobs, and a good portion of the money we make goes towards this stuff. But there's always a lot of stuff we need. Matter of fact, I'm waiting for a UPS order of batteries and SD cards right now to show up at any moment, and I might have to dip away from this to get it. But
that's going to be for
the Jesse Cam. So, but we actually might need that down the road.
I think I'm going to probably release some Jesse Cam stuff this week.
Yeah, release some.
Somebody was asking about the next installment of the Laurel Creek Incident series. I think we're looking at Sunday right now. That's possibly what we're looking at, possibly Sunday for the next episode of that. Now, I don't think this next episode is going to be as long as this first one,
but it's going to have a lot more going on.
Got a lot going on.
We had to set the stage for this because we can't just go, hey, y'all, out looking at a Bigfoot encounter. Really weird, made a weird noise. Horses almost fell asleep, and now we go off. We really needed to
we needed to give you guys context for what's going on.
And it's confusing context, yes. I know, but there's no way to really, because we're confused by it. But speaking of which, Jason Backpacks is here. Hey, guys, great to meet you all the other day at the outdoor store. Thanks for all you guys do. Jason, we shared a link to your channel here a little while ago, so hopefully some hellbenders will come over and check it out and show you some support. And let's see what else we got here. This is a good one. Write this down. Have you tried the button cameras you set in the ground and they record about an hour? I'm not familiar with that.
I have not heard of that either, but I marked that too. We
are actually going to repurpose some of these. What's happening
is the old GoPros.
We got some. We have GoPro. We have old gen GoPros, GoPro Hero 8s, and they're on like 13s now. And they just released another one that's outside.
I went to Sam's Club today, and they had GoPro Hero something. But they're this big.
Oh, yeah. They're the tiny little ones.
They are teeny. They're teeny. But we're not investing in those. What we're going to do for these drop cams, because we do the drop mic situation where we have these microphones. We put them in these areas where we've experienced things. We'll keep them there. We'll leave them for a while. We'll come back, collect them, and then review the audio. We're talking about using these old GoPros
for something similar.
Small,
flexible tripod hooked to it with an external battery source, like a big, 512 gigabyte SD card would probably work for those. We're having a problem with them overheating and then the motion blur and all that. But stationary setup might actually work. So we might kind of use those as little impromptu drop cams off to the side. They'll work during the daytime, and they're terrible on low light. That's all there is to it. They're terrible on low light. But we'll have to look up into that, into those button cams. See what else we got here. Seven Sisters asking about where you can buy we don't have any hats right now. We got to get some more hats.
Are you talking about the hat I'm wearing right now?
Oh, the hat she's wearing right now, the actual pain.
Yeah. That was a clothing company that was popular with hipsters in the early aughts that I was obsessed with. They do a lot of like esoteric type stuff. But I got this off Depop used. So, but you can always purchase. No, you can't always purchase a Hellbent Holler hat.
Because we don't have any hats.
You can purchase a Hellbent Holler hat when we restock in the next coming month or so. We're looking at probably February before we drop the hat, the new hats. And I think we're going to do a different camo.
Dark camo, yeah.
We're going to do like a dark camo. We're going to do the black, the dark camo, the regular camo, and we're going to do some beanies. And we're just going to drop all of that. And we're also going to do patches, I believe. So that is going to be with the Stitch Witch. But we will let you guys know when we drop that in probably February.
Richard S. has talked about, have you guys ever considered dropping a micro GPS into a place where a cryptid could brush against them? The North American Wood Ape Conservatorium, can never remember what the C is, but they did small GPS projects like that. And it's something we've thought about doing. The tech is something that I'm actually not that familiar with. Those GPS trackers, it would need to be something that, and I'm not sure how they did it, I haven't looked at it, but something we've considered doing possibly down the road. The activity has not followed quite a lot of our areas will be active and then they just kind of die off. And then we revisit them later and they become active again. So it seems like a very fleeting and kind of ephemeral kind of like activity that takes place here. But that is something that we've looked into doing. Actually, write that down. That might be something we need to revisit with.
Yeah.
All right.
my notes. I still have my sketch of Bigfoot from last week.
Show that sketch of Bigfoot along with it.
We were talking about, all right, do you remember when in Mobile, Alabama, there was that leprechaun sighting? We were discussing that. You know how they showed the sketch on live TV when they were doing this, when they were doing the story on the leprechaun sighting. Everybody's like, everybody see the leprechaun, say hey. This is my sketch of, do I have any weird notes on here? No. This is my sketch of the Bigfoot in my notes that I've got here. It's my expert sketch of the Bigfoot. Anybody that see the Bigfoot, say hey.
All right, so let's see what else we got here.
All right, I've got, what was I doing? Micro trackers.
Micro tracker. So what we're hoping is that as hunting season kind of comes to a close, hopefully we're going to get some more here, like stories out of the Grove. Hopefully we're going to get some more stories out of there of hunters. And we got tantalized by some really interesting audio. We found some really interesting prints, and we got some really interesting thermal hits out there. The goal now is to still have all of that, but then have the camera capabilities up and running a little bit better for this. So we are hoping and praying. As a matter of fact, I think you're going to see over the next couple of weeks, we might just, even if it's a live stream, werewolves in South Carolina, put that out there. When we did the Sasquatch in South Carolina thing, we had a lot of people show up to the channel that weren't familiar with us, that just saw the title and came in.
And we got a lot of new reports from
it. Matter of fact, we're still going through them. If you emailed us, we are still going through them. We kind of got a little overwhelmed by the amount of stuff. So maybe we'll do a werewolves in South Carolina thing, and maybe
put them feelers out.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I'd like to revisit in the coming months is the area where we found evidence of possible little people. And that I would like to revisit that area and check that out. We don't know what that situation is after the hurricane because that's a very remote area.
We have yet to find a way to get back in there yet. So, all right, let's see what else we have got here. The cliffhangers were loved and hated there. Oh, our buddy JD had something interesting, I think, that we tagged that I did not get to. JD Smooth. I thought, here we go. Talking about the video that we just released. And this is something that's very, very, very interesting. Do you guys think there could have been more than one making those noises? I don't know. Based off what they told us, they just saw the one creature. But I think that maybe there was more going on than what they possibly remember. And you know, to me, when I hear the description, a rattlesnake and like a bee, like a bumblebee, I mean, they're harsh noises, both of them, but they sound like separate sounds. And I'm having a hard time kind of blending the two in my head. And Jessie even sat down and tried to use some of her audio editing software to kind of come up with something that might kind of.
I layered together rattlesnake and a hive of bees, actually.
Yeah. So, you know what we need to do is if you could get a longer clip of that, we need to take it out there and play it. We don't really do a lot of call blasting, but this is kind of an unusual case.
Yeah.
I think we need to maybe take like a big Bluetooth speaker out there. Do you think you could do that? Maybe come up with like a clip of it and loop it? And
we'll go out and I can even do different variations of it.
Yeah. So,
you know, it's a solitary bee versus a hive of bees.
Yeah. So one single solitary bee. Anyway.
Solitary bee.
All right. Let's see what else we've got here. Chat's freaking flying tonight.
Dead air.
Dead air. Guys talking about this again. Yeah, the back-facing camera works well in certain areas, certain types of terrain, wider kind of open spaces. It doesn't work well in a lot of our stuff. His trails were rolling and not flat ground ever. I watched all of his vids. Every one that I've watched, he was never really going through the brush. It was just kind of open behind him at that point. There might have been other ones, but unless he had something that could see through branches, Again, we run into that same problem where a lot of it's just leaves bouncing up against that camera and everything like that. So
I'm also imagining we put a camera on the back of your backpack, and then when I took off after, when I saw at the end of this video,
you're going to see is me wedged up on some
down
tree.
No, I was going to say that I took off. I went after that. As soon as I saw that, I took off, and I went under the tree pretty quickly, and then you got kind of snagged up on there. I would imagine if we had a camera attached to you, if you needed to pivot like that and go under that tree like that, like you were going, that camera's getting smashed to bits. Well, so that one's done.
And you have to,
if you were wearing one at that point,
you have to run external power to them too. You can't just run off that internal battery. But Scott Blair, first time watching from Ohio. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you guys are watching still, if you would maybe hit that like button for us, it helps the channel. It helps our reach.
When I was saying that he's going across flat trails, I wasn't saying he's going across the plains.
He's not going over dry creek beds and stuff like that.
It's not. He's going over the plains. He's in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park.
Man, I'm insanely behind on chat here.
I'm sort of caught up.
So,
Anthony Campagna says, "Have you ever thought about approaching Les Stroud about Dogman? Get his thoughts." Les Stroud is busy.
I wouldn't even know how to get in touch with Les Stroud. I don't think we have
busy. So we actually are huge fans of Les Stroud and what he did by transitioning from the Survivor Man show to really focusing on Bigfoot. And you can tell he really got the bug when it came to Bigfoot, and he did such a great job doing that solo type investigation and going out there and kind of taking a novel approach when it comes to the Bigfoot subject and how people research Bigfoot, like we do, kind of go out there and just go into the environment and just see what happens.
Small group, of course, he went solo a lot, and then he would sometimes have a cameraman and whatever researcher he was partnering with at that time. But still 3 people, that's a lot different than a large television crew kind of busting through the brush at that point.
Right. But he did a Kickstarter recently. He's going to pick back up on the Bigfoot trail, and we're really excited to see what comes about with that, because I think his Kickstarter just ended and he met way over his goal for it. So he's really going to be able to produce some really cool stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Or go to Vegas.
What's that now?
Or go to Vegas.
We'll go to Vegas?
Or go to Vegas.
I'm sorry. I'm looking up something that somebody just mentioned, and
yeah, Michael Tovar said, I think he's going to do work on Bigfoot again. Yes, he is going to do, I think he said he was going to do a full-length documentary, but the series was just phenomenal. We started rewatching the series recently in our little bit of free time, and it's just, it holds up. It's fantastic.
Well. Kim Armstrong, go back to the little people at the occult. The occult is only when we brush across. Everything's just when we brush across it. I mean, we'll go into areas. At the end of the day, most of what we're looking for is Bigfoot and occasionally Dogman. We don't go out looking for like wilderness occult stuff. We just brush up against it, and then we have to pivot towards it because that's what we encounter. We're kind of limited in what we kind of just happen to come across out there. And I don't want to say more often than not, half the time, close to half the time, we go out looking for like one strange phenomena, and we find something else entirely different. And then that's what we have to go after.
Yeah.
But we definitely want to get back into that little people area. Arcane Discoveries stole this from another question. Is there any chance of going back to the LBL? Got to catch up. Can't wait to see all the videos I've missed. Yeah, we will be back to the LBL eventually. You will probably not hear about it ahead of time. There is a lot of attention on the LBL right now. There are a lot of people at the LBL right now researching. So we work better, in areas where I think we have a better opportunity and a better chance of encountering weird activity.
And I think there's less of a chance of our evidence being corrupted or
by the sounds of other people. We hear something and we think we're capturing Dogman sounds, and it's another batch of researchers 3 hills over doing call blasting and all of that. But we're going to get back into there. It's just, we're going to kind of sneak in there. So sneak. I don't know how to pronounce that first one. Keel. Hi, Jesse and Joe. My 8-year-old wanted to tell me that she loves your videos and really wants you to catch Dogman and Bigfoot brawling it out on camera. You know what? If we ever come across it brawling out we will catch her on camera. and then try to make sure that that footage gets out in one piece.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Even if we didn't. But thank you so much. Tell your little 8-year-old thank you, and we will try to.
Richard S. says, is there safe RV camping at the LBL? Yes, there are large campgrounds at the LBL. All throughout the peninsula, you can find safe camping. There's a couple of really large, very nice campgrounds.
Horse camp there.
There's a horse camp there, but there's one at the southern end that's really nice.
It's like giant.
It's got gated entry.
You can't get into it hardly. It's crazy.
But there's lots of safe camping out there, yes.
And when you hear about the LBL, sometimes people will go, there's nothing weird at the LBL. They get over 1 million visitors a year. They do to certain areas. And these campgrounds often are just booked up from the time they open to the time they close. And some of the hiking trails there are extremely popular. And then you get into other areas and there ain't nobody there. And there ain't been nobody there. And especially at nighttime, the place changes. Everybody retreats into these campgrounds. And then the rest of the peninsula is just wide open. That is one of the areas where you feel the energy of the place change as the sun goes down. You've got the Trace, which is a big road that goes from north to south. There are administrative buildings. There's like a recreation farm there that you can go see, a historical farm.
It's like 1881 farm. There's also the nature center it's north of the center of the peninsula, where they have, it's like an animal sanctuary as well, where you can walk around and kind of see the animals that they've gathered up that have been injured, that they've rehabbed, and that they can't be set free in the wild anymore. But they got a cool turkey there.
We like the turkey there. Would recommend the turkey. But it's at nighttime. Everybody retreats into these little areas, and then the rest of the peninsula just gets weird, man. It gets weird. But a couple other things we've got here real quick is I'm going to save that. Jessica Smith, I saw your comment. I'm going to save that for a moment. Sploot, who else would you like to collaborate with? It's difficult for us to collaborate with people because we are so, I don't want to say weird. We have some
we're off-putting.
We have some quirk. We're hyper aggressive about the subject. We're both very opinionated. We're very obsessive. We're very much type A personality. Go, 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 go.
And we battle each other.
We fight each other, but we're married. So at the end of the day, we come back. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry too. We just get so worked up. It's okay for us to do it because that's part of the relationship. We get with other people and they have a tendency to kind of just be like, what is wrong with these people? Calm down. We work really well with Alex Petikoff. Alex Petikoff and us just kind of mesh real well.
It's nice to work with Alex because it's nice to go into the woods with somebody that you don't have to worry about.
I'm going to say it right now. It sounds kind of pompous, but it's nice to do it with another professional like this that takes this extremely seriously.
And that you don't have to worry about, is he going to be safe in the woods?
You're going to see us do something with the Dooster.
Yeah.
The Dooster, we got a plan with the Dooster coming up. We just got to try to get it into fruition. You are going to see me actually eventually drag Aaron Deese from the Texas Dogman Triangle, Small Town Monsters. I want to take him into the woods for the
Texas Death Trip.
Yeah, I want to go down to where he's at and take him in for like an actual nighttime field investigation and a Dogman hotspot down there. And you know what's crazy is I've talked about it on camera so much, I keep forgetting to talk about it to him personally. He's eventually, somebody's going to go, hey, when are you and Joe going out? And he's going to be like, what? Huh? I just want to take him out because he's got such great insight.
And he's a go-getter.
He's a freaking go-getter, man. He's a wild man. So you will see us doing something with Trey from Squatch Me Now. He's releasing a documentary called Masters of the Hunt.
Yep.
That's based upon Bigfoot.
I think a promo for that dropped yesterday.
Yeah. He is local.
He's doing a Kickstarter for it. When he has that Kickstarter up for that docuseries, we'll be sure to share it so you guys can check that out, and then we'll see where that goes.
Trey is somebody who I always go, I get tired of the old status quo stuff with everything. Trey has got some insanely innovative ideas on how to approach the Bigfoot phenomenon, some thoughts and theories behind it. It's great. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, Michael had made a comment. You guys nail it with all the structures you find. They always see the same with Dogman, even here in Northern New York. So he's finding similar things to us in Northern New York that apparently are tied in with Dogman. Buddy Cryptid Castleberry, when you do venture back to the LBO, you may want to bring in Martin Groves for an investigation. Yeah, you'll see we've got our little band of buddies there.
A band of miscreants.
You're gonna definitely see us do we'll hook up with Martin. You're gonna see us do one of the things that gets overlooked a lot with the LBL is the paranormal aspect, the haunting aspect of it. And well, we're friends with the best in the business when it comes to paranormal stuff, the Dooster. So you'll see that. You'll see some neat stuff. Thank you for that, though, buddy. I appreciate it. So
there's a lot of the story when it comes to the LBL that hasn't been told. If you've seen the Small Town Monsters documentary that Joe and I were involved in, I go into a lot of the history that I think sets the stage for what people are experiencing right now. Well, there's a lot more to that than what we explored in that documentary or what was explored in that documentary. And it's a lot of things that people don't talk about. I think everybody kind of focuses on what's happening right now, what is happening on the surface and what's going on right now. And they don't really give, like we always say, give the context for what led to this point and what other things are going on out here besides Dogman, Bigfoot. So
Roberta Newman, thank you. You guys are the best out there. Thank you so much. Stay safe. I wish I could afford to help more. That is exceptionally generous of you. Thank you so much. If we could just get 10 million of you to donate $5 each, we could really take these investigations to where they need to be at. Private islands, luxury resorts, you know what I'm saying?
Haunted Four Seasons.
Haunted 4-star hotels. So no, thank you so much for that, Roberta. We're greatly appreciative. Somebody had speaking of which, we were going to do I always do that joke whenever somebody goes, you guys are just in it for the money. And I'm just going, you got us, we're at the Polo Club with David Paulides and all the other, all the other grifters. We were joking about doing a show in like top hats and fur coats one night. You know what I'm saying? All right. So what else?
Do you want me to pull out the fur coats? I have vintage fur coats that have been given to me by my dead relatives. So.
Jesse is the parking spot for dead relative possessions. Yeah. So. Man, how far back am I in this chat?
You're pretty far. I've got some stuff marked if you want to get on.
You guys are going crazy.
Crazy. You sound so scandalous.
Shod. When y'all go for a few days to investigate, do you go camping or rough it out in a hotel? When we are in the LBL or we are on like 2-week investigations in most places, depending on where it's at. Now the LBL, we get a dispersed camp permit. So that way we're legal. We got no problems for anybody to hassle us. We will dispersed camp, but then we will also have a hotel room outside the peninsula, which is very easy there because you get right off the peninsula. There's hotels on both the north and the south.
Yeah, you've got, especially on the north end, you've got Grand Rivers up there.
And we do that in order to store our equipment in it because you cannot have thousands of dollars of cameras just left in your tent. You can't carry everything with you.
And you can't charge everything.
So even with our battery stuff, we'll run out. So we always do that as like a kind of command spot to go back to.
Yeah.
You disperse camp for 2 or 3 days. You go
get
back
a triple S situation in.
Yeah. Go back, take a shower, go ahead and swap out everything, charge everything.
Oh, swap was your desk.
do a data dump, but you need that in order to store your stuff. Yeah. So if anybody ever sees us in the LBL and sees our tent, don't bother ripping into it. We got the expensive stuff stored.
Yeah.
When we are in North Georgia and other places like that, it's too difficult to get it out to. That way, we only usually carry what we can bring with us, what we can carry. And then in that case, we're camping for like 3 days, a week, whatever it is at that point. And we usually pick somewhere that is very hidden and kind of defensible, for lack of a better term. So
we do a lot of our operating at night, though. So there's not much of a sleep situation that goes on.
So Brenda Crew, you going back to look for the Fae, little people, etc. I think that there are some aspects that could be attributed to the Fae and the area that we're looking at right now. I still say that just because they told us they saw a stereotypical Sasquatch, that might not have been all they were dealing with out there. So, but as far as like the little people, we need to kind of try to work our way back up into there. The only thing is that we need a pretty good stretch of time to get back into that area where we were finding little people stuff, the little structures and the little quartz rings, because we're going to have to like drive in as far as we can on the old forest roads, and then probably hike in. And it's probably going to take us a full day to hike in.
Yeah.
Full day to hike in, a day to investigate, and then a day to hike out.
I mean, it was, we really learned our lesson when we did, not Ghosts of Appalachia, but the Devil's Graveyard, because after that hurricane came through, the route that we normally would take to try to get to that graveyard was completely destroyed. So we had to take an alternate route that took a very long and difficult time to get up there.
Bernie Cannon, how are you doing, Bernie? Now that the weather is getting colder, do your investigative strategies and techniques change?
So now we have to wear multiple layers, and we have to kind of account for that and account for carrying all of this stuff.
The summertime is more difficult to do it in because you have to worry about, at least in our area, because the South gets so hot. You have the sound of insects to contend with. If there is a cicada emergence, you're pretty much ain't catching any audio whatsoever. But even then, just regular insect noise is so crazy loud. Even in the mountains, they're just so loud. You have to worry about staying hydrated and all that. In the wintertime, obviously, you're having to bundle up in like layers. You have faster battery drain, and that's just normal. That's not even anything out of the ordinary. That's nothing supernatural. Batteries drain faster. Sometimes luckily the cameras run pretty good in the cold weather, which the batteries will drain faster.
But it's been insanely moist.
Yeah, we do have to kind of, when we get back in, we have a dehydrating, like a
dehumidifying
cabinet that dehydrator, make some jerky and dry the cameras off. But we have to store the equipment in there to kind of make sure that we dry everything out.
Yeah.
The thermal imagers sometimes are of limited use in the summertime because sometimes the surroundings are just as hot as the heat somebody is giving off or something is giving off. In the wintertime, they shine. There's such a difference between body heat and
we've got some interesting thermal stuff coming up for the Laurel Creek incident.
Yeah, some very weird stuff. So you have to carry more batteries, battery chargers. Thermals are more important at that point. You're able to hear a greater distance, so audio becomes more important. All said and done, if it could be winter all year long for us to, even with the the difficulties that come along with it, it's easier to collect evidence in the wintertime. So
I've got one from Brian. Go ahead.
Sorry, Jake the Snake Ski. Konnichiwa. Very happy to see you guys again. You guys would have a wild time here in Okinawa. Lots of paranormal activity here, no cryptids. I would love to go on a paranormal investigation in Okinawa. Awesome.
You know what it is, though? It's like demon with butthole eyes and stuff like that.
What was that?
It's all you get.
Yeah,
that's what you get. Brian Wigfall's got one here. What's up, Brian? How you been? Hi, guys. I hope both of you are 100% after you were sick. I missed the show live last week. I look forward to it all week. You know what I'm going to ask? Knife check.
I had a old discontinued SE6. SE is an American knife company that actually the guys that run it have a survival training school that they mostly focused on, like jungle survival training down in the Amazon and all of that. Although they branched out into North America nowadays, they do a lot of stuff just north of us in Western North Carolina. A lot of search and rescue and everything. Great Smoky Mountains, people go missing and whatnot. But anyway, these are American-made knives. This one's discontinued because this one, I don't know if you can see it, has a sharpened back edge. Let me see if I can get it silhouetted against me. Kind of see it, maybe sort of a little bit. Yeah, right there. It's sharpened on the back. They stopped making these, but because it not really limits its survival capabilities a little bit. But I would rather have the ability to stab the crap out of something. You know what I'm saying? So
life's all about give and take, I think.
Indeed. So that's what I'm carrying. I've got a custom set of grips on there. So, and Jessie has her signature blade.
I have my new signature blade. This is from Primitive Bear Knives, the official knife maker of Hellbent Holler. This is the knife I wear on my chest rig nowadays. That is, look at that bad boy right there. Fantastic. Perfect for my hand. Beautiful. Got his perfect little Primitive Bear insignia there on the side. Kydex camo sheath for it there. But yep, that is my Primitive Bear Knives knife. I don't know what the name of it is. What is the name of this?
It was that was his.
The Jesse Special.
No. It was based on his.
Hold on. Hang on. Hold on.
I'm going to actually share his website here too because he's got awesome blades. Well, nope. just.
Okie says, get an Arkansas toothpick, Joe. I have an Arkansas toothpick.
She does have
I got a monster Arkansas toothpick. It's pretty awesome.
Something that got mentioned earlier that I wanted to circle back to. And Jessica Smith, that long dark being you saw in the LBL, have you looked into the Choctaw being called the Nalusa Falaya? I know the Choctaw were native to Tennessee once. I am not familiar with that. That is something that I have quite honestly never heard of. And I was Googling it, the Nalusa Falaya, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, of Native American Choctaw mythology. The long black being.
Oh.
Type of shadow creature that lives in the densest parts of the forest waiting for victims to infect. I am not, we mostly focus on, even though we go into the LBL and everything like that, we still mostly focus on Cherokee folklore. But I am not familiar with this at all.
That is definitely
8
opening
feet
up a
tall, appeared to have no face. We're going to have to look into this more.
Yeah, that definitely opens up an interesting new door for that.
Thank you for doing that. I need to do some deep diving into that to see if because we've never found an equivalent that made sense to us on that.
Yeah.
Our new friends, 50 years around the sun, enjoying the live. You two are great. Pops and Nana. Welcome.
Thank you, Pops and Nana.
Tell me, Art Castle, have you guys thought about getting a converted van that's like a tiny house, might be cheaper in the long run and more comfortable to boot? Oh, I guess we always worry about vehicles getting broken into, and
especially in places like Seawood Manor.
Yeah, Seawood Manor, the LBL, even, you know.
Yeah, these places we go to, like we mentioned, we did that episode of Paranormal Palaver with LW Marshall. You know, a lot of these places are in national forests and in areas that are often frequented by shady individuals who are getting up to no good because they're hidden away from prying eyes. And if you have a vehicle that looks like it could contain, you know, something that they could hawk for money or something like that, then there's a huge risk of it getting broken into. Yeah. So we try to be as nondescript as humanly possible when we're doing stuff.
We've got a cover story when people ever ask, well, what are you guys doing? Like if we're on the outskirts of like a national,
you giving away our secrets?
Well, I'm just saying, we never say, oh, we're all looking for Bigfoot. And I know a lot of people go, oh, you should do that. People will tell you their stories. That might happen, but a lot of times we try to stay very, very low profile when we're in there. That's why my hat, this patch comes off of. So I can actually even take my Hellbent Holler patch off when we're interacting with people and then slap it back.
Is that your disguise?
That's it's like Clark Kent with his glasses there, man. I take the patch off and then nobody recognizes me.
I gotta get those Groucho Marx glasses is what we gotta get. Just throw those on.
Brent Gannon, your thumbnail for this live is next level. How is it possible not to click it and join the discussion? You outdid yourself with that thumbnail. And we were talking about, because keep in mind still, most of our time is spent on field investigations, preparing for field investigations, doing the field investigations, recovering evidence review. A lot of times on Mondays, about 3 p.m., we're trying to figure out what the show is going to be about.
And also, you know, we do a lot of this stuff, but, you know, we wear many hats here at Hellbent Holler. There's only 2 of us here. We don't have a PR person. We don't have a marketing person. We don't have, I do all the editing, all the graphic stuff, all the thumbnails, all of that stuff. I had to learn how to do all of that. And right now I'm in the process of working on some thumbnail stuff. I'm ready to kind of change up our thumbnails a little bit. So this was kind of one thing that I wanted to do. Yeah. We recently watched Nosferatu and loved it so much. So I wanted to do that. But I'm working on learning how to improve all of that all the time. So that's why the editing is getting better on all the episodes. Every time we put something out, is we're constantly trying to get better at what we do because there's just us 2 doing it and we have to get better. Because we're crazy people.
This has been back for a while. This is again talking about the witness account that we are investigating with the latest video. Could the sound have been calling to the creature and not intended for the witnesses that did crouch as if it was spooked and ran off? Well, the way they described it to us is the sound was, at least appeared, according to their report, coming from the creature, making it almost like it was kind of like a growling, making it in its throat, its chest. I don't know, but that had been going on for a bit when all of a sudden it kind of sensed, smelled, heard, saw something. I don't know. But I mean, I guess that would be a question if we can kind of get communication going again to ask, are you sure the sound was coming from that creature? Or did they make that assumption because they saw the creature and heard the sound?
Yeah.
So, what are you nodding your head about? What you got?
I was laughing because Bernie goes, why the need for so many hats when you could just use Joe's patch trick?
Yes, indeed. So, all right. So,
do we have any more Dogman stuff we want to touch on?
No, just that. There's just that we do need to do a Dogman. People who aren't into this topic, when they see these creatures, they don't come away going, I saw a man that looked like a dog.
Must
I'm
have
going to
been
call
a
it Dogman. People haven't heard, more people have heard about it now. But even nowadays, when you mention that to like a normie, they don't know what the heck you're talking about. Everybody always goes, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I saw a werewolf.
Yeah.
I saw a werewolf. I know that sounds crazy, but I saw a werewolf. So we'll do one. We'll do maybe on our next Monday night, as a matter of fact. We'll title it Werewolves in South Carolina and see who we get. And you can kind of come with the Anderson werewolf and some of the werewolf Dogman stuff that we've heard of around through here. And
throw some local stories out there.
And see if anybody staggers across that and happens to reach out to us and shares anything. So there we go. Because I don't know why, but you and I were both going. We just kind of feel like we're overdue. Something
is coming when it comes to Dogman.
And, you know, I mean, I guess we could be wrong. Our instincts could be wrong. We could never get another Dogman report in this immediate region ever again.
That's true.
But it's just, I just feel like you and I both independently kind of came to that same thing about like, I just feel like Dogman's like right around the corner.
You said that to me last night. You're like, the Dogman cometh.
The Dogman cometh.
It's like, oh, yes. The Dogman cometh.
All right. So,
Red Dirt Cryptids has an interesting part here that supports that. Hell, I didn't know what I'd seen for over 10 years. My brother and I were just calling it
the wolf
dog. There you go. Because you don't know. This is, you know, you'll have people. Oh, you know, I'm rubbing my head. This is something that's just irking me. You'll have people on the internet. They'll get really mad because they've invested so much time on investigating a niche and looking into a niche thing. And then they get mad when somebody calls it a werewolf. And like, it's not a werewolf, you fool. It doesn't change by moonlight.
How do you know it doesn't change? How do you know it doesn't change?
Dude, you have no idea what its capabilities are.
Well,
number
that's
one.
That's
and
impossible.
Number two, he's not involved in your crazy Facebook groups where you talk about Dogman all day.
And people
this dude
always
got a job.
People always go, well, that couldn't change. That's impossible. I don't know, man.
We've seen some impossible stuff.
My barrier for what's impossible is pretty flexible nowadays at this point. Kind of non-existent. So, all right. Damn, time is flying by.
People keep suggesting the possibility of a migration. I wonder if the Dogman is migrating and that accounts for the lack of current reports. Perhaps. I don't know.
Are there areas that have higher percentages of reports? I've heard people kind of speculate on that, but I don't know that for a fact. So I don't.
All we can do is kind of gather the data that we can gather right now. I don't think we'll ever come to any kind of solid thing within our lifetime.
Man, if we do though, boy, it's going to be.
Well, if we do.
Bristol goes, Laurel Creek definitely has a Fey vibe to it. I would agree with you 100% on that. And you know, that's so weird because I knew all the folklore, not all the folklore. I'm conversant with a lot of the folklore, and getting into this, I never once really gave it a lot of just thought other than it was interesting. I studied it in school, but then you start doing this and you just start going, damn, the stuff we're running into is just, if this was taking place a few hundred years ago, they would be saying that it was the Fae.
Yeah.
You know, so, and stuff that does not seem like it really matches up with what you would expect with something like a Sasquatch before.
Suji says, all I know is I'm taking my cordless Dyson vacuum cleaner with me on hikes. You know what? When you know facts, you know facts. Dogman, going for the vacuum cleaner defense.
There you go. So, and you can vacuum up the leaves to get rid of all of that annoying leaf crunch. Yep,
come on.
All right. See what else we got. We're coming into the.
I think I'm going to do last call.
Yeah.
If you guys got anything you want to throw out there, and then we're going to do just a
somebody had mentioned the Scallywag Tactical. Sheila Evelyn, patron saint of Help and Holler, got us some Scallywag Tactical knives that we keep stowed away as like a last resort type thing. That's our when the wheels have fallen off, and that's all we've got.
We deployed a tactical shovel recently.
We did deploy a tactical shovel.
Oh, so. You guys are gonna love that. You guys are gonna go, yes, finally they dig. Yes, folks, digging is coming.
That digging's coming. Digging some holes. So
let's see here.
All right, let's see what else.
I had some. Oh, we're gonna put this out into the universe right now. Dogman reports.
Dogman
South Carolina.
Reports. South Carolina.
North Georgia.
North Georgia.
North Carolina.
Western North Carolina.
Dogman reports. And then we'll put it out there and see if we get anything.
The universe responds to us at this point. So
Hawk's got one on here. Thank you, Hawk.
What's up? Thanks,
appreciate
Hawk,
that, bro. I used to chat with a Native American who told me her grandmother knows of a guy in Canada that can change totally into a large black wolf. Her grandmother says this guy is very evil and many know what he can do.
Stories like that are all across North America with both indigenous people and with just descendants of European settlers. People will say that. And you get into this where you just go, to me, once you know that some of this weird stuff is possible, the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
And it's some of the stuff we hear, I go, man, 10 years ago, I'd go, nope, Bigfoot and Bigfoot only. That's the only thing that exists out there. Now you hear something like that and I go, yeah, how can you explain it? I couldn't explain it. Do you think it's possible? I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very, very possible. Thank you for that, buddy. We appreciate it.
Bonnie Blue McGee says, Jesse, take your crossbow and see if you get anything hunting you. That's a good way for us to end up having to figure out how to get a crossbow out of Joe's thigh.
So, yep, I'm going to take a bolt eventually. That's pretty much a damn certainty at this point. Cryptid Castleberry, Timothy Renner talks about digging in the paranormal a lot. You see that with a lot of stuff. You see that with when you have private property and people are doing reconstruction on the home, they're renovating, they're putting on a new addition, they're doing anything like that at all. Paranormal activity kind of.
That's a big theme at Skinwalker Ranch.
You dig and the activity ramps up. A lot of Dogman and Sasquatch reports take place around areas, caves. Even though that's not digging, it's still
mines.
It's a naturally made hole, is what that is. It's God's hole. There you go. Jesus, Lord. But mines, areas where digging is taking place, you often get an increase, disturbing the earth, disturbing the environment, disturbing the surroundings. Often kind of results in an increase in activity.
I think LW asked earlier on, it's way back up in there. I'll just address it. He asked about how the Contact Project is going.
Oh yeah, he did.
I have a new piece of equipment that I got for that project that I think I'm going to use my new little camera, JessiCam 3000. The JessiCam 3000 to film an unboxing of this. I've not opened it yet, but it is a tool for the Contact Project. As you know, I'm doing a Contact Project where I'm going through different contact modalities and learning how to possibly make contact with the other. We don't know how or what I'm making contact with, but I'm going to use different means of contact to do that. One of these is the use of a scrying mirror. I got a handmade scrying mirror from a person that makes ritual tools, and I'll be doing an unboxing video of that so you guys can actually see me pull that out.
So many different cultures have traditional ways that they use to make contact with what they consider the other. And whether that's ancestral spirits, the spirit world, nature spirits, just the other entities that we seem to like kind of occasionally share this reality with.
Yeah.
There's everything from meditation to things like physical tools like scrying mirrors or whatnot.
Self-flagellation.
We're not getting into that yet, but we have some electronic devices that might be handy to do that, but that's going to be the big thing, is to kind of try to push that instead of just stumbling out blind or going into areas that have other activity has been reported, similar to that beacon that we've used in the past. What can we do to try to entice the activity in so that we can document it at that point? So Believer 72, who designed your logo behind you? The great Jonathan Dodd, cryptid artist extraordinaire.
Yes.
He does a lot of stuff for Small Town Monsters, a lot of their artwork. And we met Jonathan, liked him a great deal. And he ended up binging a bunch of our videos one night after meeting us, and then just sent us this. Just went, hey, I hope you
I made this.
I made a logo for you. And we were just like, damn, that's perfect. So that was after I think Jonathan had stayed up for like 16 hours watching Hellbent Holler videos at that point.
Yeah.
Our boy Stephen T. Have you investigated Boswell's land?
No,
we have not. We have not actually.
We have not.
If that's something that is, it might be something to look into next time we're back. Our buddy Sam Burton, Scotland. Most people try to avoid the Fae. And ice, in parts of, you think that those traditions are all gone, but they're really not. People that have been in cities for several generations and have kind of lost touch with like their cultural roots don't necessarily, they may not really believe in it or know much about it, but you get people that are still more in tied with the history of the land and the history of their, of their people and the history of these phenomena. And yeah, they're very much, in Iceland, they will build roads around spots where they think the hidden folk, the Holden folk live. Mm-hmm. They'll literally take engineering projects like roads and divert them around areas like that. That's how seriously it's still taken. And, the American South, the American Southwest, the Midwest, there's still areas that have very, very strong cultural, practices that are basically, geared towards how to deal with these entities, basically at that point. Sam's probably got some great stories from Scotland.
I was going to make a joke about the Scottish and the Irish haven't avoided anything. I have avoided everything except for a pint at this point.
Suji, you have a round black obsidian scrying mirror. Never used it, but my crystals look cool sitting on it. That's what Jesse is looking into.
Oki says, got a feeling that Jesse's Woo project is going to be wild and woolly.
All right, guys, we are coming up on 90 minutes. We are going to call it.
Yes.
Yeah, you always hear Bonnie Blue McGee. You may not like or trust them, but you always show respect to the good folk.
Oh, yes.
The gray neighbors. The kind of like ways to get around, because you're not supposed to say the Fae. You're never supposed to say fairy ever.
Well, you're hitting them all right now.
Hitting them all right now. But there's all of these just little euphemisms for it. The gray neighbors, the kindly ones, the goodly ones, the good neighbors, you're supposed to, and Bonnie, you can correct me on this, but you're often not supposed to really address their diminutive nature, how small they are. So you try to make just little things like that, the shining ones, everything. So
yeah.
All right.
I think that's where we're gonna wrap it up.
We're done, son.
How's that feel?
Pretty good.
Feels pretty good.
Pretty good.
All right, guys. I think we're gonna put the feelers out for some
Dogman stuff.
Deep South Dogman, and no.
Remember that Deep South Dogman. That sounds like
alliteration.
We should have like a monster truck.
Yeah.
We should have a monster.
I think anyway.
Just to have, you know what I'm saying?
In general.
Monster truck going out Deep South Sasquatch. No, Deep South Dogman presents.
Hawk's got 1 minute right in the clutch here. White man, don't listen to warnings from natives. Look at the names of some of the areas where those beings are at that the natives avoided, but not white man. Yeah.
We have people who are members of the Cherokee tribe through here that have no problem at all talking to us about Sasquatch. But when the topic of the Yunwi-Sundi, the little people, come up, they want nothing to do with it at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, not only am I not going to talk to you about it, I really don't want to. I don't really want any contact with you while they're so afraid of that contagion.
Yeah.
And if JD is still on here, he can say the exact same thing, that it's the people, not everybody in the Cherokee, at least through this, the Eastern Cherokee, believe in Sasquatch, but damn, a lot of them believe in the little people and have a great deal of respect and even fear for them. So,
yeah. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Hellbent Holler Live. I'm going to go make us some dinner. I hope you guys have an awesome week. Keep your notifications on. We've got a lot of cool stuff in the works, including the next episode in the Laurel Creek series and a bunch of bonus content coming your way. We are so excited. It's 2025. We're feeling alive and we're doing it right.
We're getting geared up and ready to go, and we are freaking hitting it hard.
You guys, we love y'all. We miss y'all. We're happy to be back and rolling and working and doing the thing. Make sure you take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Good night. Have a good one, guy.